Today we're going to talk about how our local church can be an aid to us in pastoral counseling.
There are many advantages that a pastor has when he begins to counsel people. And one of the greatest is that he is the head of a flock. He is part of a body. The body of Christ is a collection of people who love each other, who are committed to each other, and are willing to help. So a pastor has to be an educator as well as a counselor. He has to be a leader who can help to bring the resources of the church into the counseling arena so that he can help people with deeper problems. Here are some ways that you can do that.
When it comes to counseling, a pastor has some significant advantages over other kinds of counselors. First of all, they have a prior relationship with a counselee. Second, they have the weight of the faith community behind them. Third, they have a knowledge of family dynamics, of that particular family dynamics. They have full-time access to the people, and the people have access to them. They have a non-professional relationship. And furthermore, they have the resources of the church, which they can call and use when they need them. First of all, let's look at these. A prior relationship with a counselee. The sheep trust the shepherd, so it says in John chapter 10. A pastor who has done his job in the church is trusted by his people, and that gives him a step up when it comes to counseling his people. Second, a shepherd knows his sheep by name. He doesn't have to be told what their names are, he knows them. His prior knowledge of the people through doing good pastoral work enables him to begin where he knows they are. Third, they are familiar with your message. A pastor who's preached before his people many times. Second, he is known by his people, the faith community there behind to hear what you have. He's part of a church and a denomination. And that means that he carries with him the authority of the church. People who are in your church are going to recognize that authority, and that's one of the reasons they'll be there, and they're more likely to listen to you because you bear that authority. Second, the pastor is identified with the church. When they look at you, they think about the church that they've already become a part of, and that gives you an element of trust. Third, the counselee has the assurance have a knowledge of that the church has approved this pastor. People don't join churches as individuals. You are credentialed by the church, a church that and a pastor who knows and that his people and knows his flock is going to know that family. And when you know that family, you're going to often know things about that family that help you when you're counseling them. A pastor can also use the family on occasions. He can speak to a husband and suggest that he might want to be kinder to his wife, or he might be able to know the relationships between siblings. These and be able to call upon members of the families to help in certain circumstances. These are significant advantages. The pastor also has full-time access to the flock, and they have full-time access to him. The pastor can come in the middle of the night. No other counselor can do that. But the pastor has the freedom to do it because he is the pastor. A pastor can counsel at informal times. In the middle of a baseball game, in the middle of a communal supper, those times become times for counseling before and after church. No other counselor has that kind of access to his counselees. A pastor can provide coaching and spiritual direction as well as counseling. Professional counselors are limited in what they can do, but pastors are not limited. Let me explain the difference between counselors, coaches, and spiritual directors. Counselors primarily deal with specific problems. When you walk in to see a counselor, they say, what is the problem? And that is the problem that you and they are going to deal with. Coaches are more directive. Coaches ask you, what is it you want to achieve? Or being part of a team, how are we going to win this game? And they train people in specific disciplines and tasks to do that. Coaches can get in there in the face of somebody they're coaching and say, you need to improve in this area of your life. Counselors cannot do that in the same way. Spiritual directors are spiritual friends. They're not coaches, but they're people who come beside and help people to discover God's will together with them. They can be encouragers, confessors, and a great many other things, but they come along as a friend and not as a professional to help them discover together the will of God. A pastoral counselor often has a non-professional relationship. This can be a great advantage. A pastoral counselor, unless certified by a group such as the American Association of Pastoral Counselors, is not considered a professional, and this can be a significant advantage to a counselor. A pastoral counselor does not, therefore, have to adhere strictly to the appointments, keep notes. They don't have to avoid dual relationships, which other counselors have to do. It is assumed that they are both a pastor and a counselor, and perhaps a friend and a counselor, which means that in that relationship you have far more freedom than a regular counselor. A pastoral counselor is free to be a friend and a companion. Furthermore, he has the resources of the church behind him. He has members whom he knows that have undergone similar trials, and he can recommend that you go see somebody else in the church, or he can recommend that somebody else in the church go see you and talk to you about where they've been. He can recommend and knows the support groups in Sunday school classes, and he knows
As you can see, the body of Christ itself
so he can
is a
draw on the
powerful
power of the
tool for
group.
helping people.
He has the
As a
financial
pastor,
and physical support
you
of a
need to be
family
able
of
to
God.
mobilize
when
your
appropriate.
people to
If
help one
a
another.
person is